Here's a scary fact. We only have 18 days left until the start of November. What? Hello! Today is Tuesday, October 13th, 2015. We are moving into our 7th week of NaNoWriMo prep. So it was a good week this week. I've been kind of consistently working on my story a little bit, kind of taking notes and stuff. I'm almost done. See, I'm still working on it. I'm almost done with the notes in my conflict and suspense book. I'm taking my mom to her therapy appointment today, so I'll be sitting there for an hour and a half, and I will be able to finish that today. The other thing that I did this week was a lot of brainstorming. I was supposed to be doing a lot of like character voice journals, but I didn't really get a lot of that done. Sometimes I start off trying to do a character voice journal, it just turns into like a brainstorming session for that character and their motivations and you know, who they, you know, why, who they know, and you know, what their relationship is to that other person. And you know, I did some really good brainstorming for some of my antagonists. I have 2 antagonists, and they're not really like the big baddies throughout the whole story. I guess one of them, he comes back for the second book. I guess. I already know that. He comes back for the second one, and so I guess technically he's the baddie. I don't know. I don't know. I still have to figure out what's going on with my antagonist. I know the trajectory of my main character. I know all of that stuff, but it's kind of like figuring out where all of the conflict comes in and if it's strong enough. One of the things that I was supposed to do this week was go through my spreadsheet, because I had already planned some of my scenes out at the beginning and everything. I wanted to check and see, you know, how that stands up. After reading this conflict and suspense book, I wanted to see how that feels, and I didn't like any of it. I didn't like any of the scenes that I had written out, so I saved that document, started another one, and so I'm going to start fresh. This week that has to be my main goal. We have 18 days left of prep, and so I need to be getting as many scenes down as possible, what I'm going to be writing, so that I can move through NaNoWriMo with ease. That's what helped me last year. I can already tell that I'm not going to have a lot of time to work on writing this season. I'm not going to be able to spend like hours sitting down and writing. I'm going to need, you know, a half hour here or there just to get as many words in as I can. So I need to have everything planned out beforehand. So I'm going to have to really, really buckle down this week and next week and get as much done as possible. But the other thing that I did this week was I bought another journal. I'm so bad. So last video I told you about this journal. It kind of represents this first story and the island and the history there and everything. The second book, and I was wanting to find a companion to that journal, and I was hoping to find one that was kind of similar, that was, you know, kind of hand done with in leather and everything. But the more I thought about it, the more that didn't really quite make sense. The second book, I don't even know why I know all of this, but I do. The second book takes place in a completely kind of different setting, and so this makes sense for all of the right reasons. This is, you know, it's bound, and it's got this very beautiful maze design on it. The edges are gilded, and it's lined. There's a city, there's like this big city that is the feature of the second book. So that kind of makes sense. So now I have both of those journals. I don't have to think about it anymore. But what I'm going to be doing with those is kind of coming up with some histories and some journal entries for some of the important people that have played into the background. It's kind of like world building stuff. That's all those are for. I want to physically write everything in there, so I'm going to have to plan out what I'm writing in those journals in a Word document and then physically write them inside. So I have those, I'm ready to go with that, but that's not something I'm going to be worrying about during NaNoWriMo or beforehand. So they're just going to be hanging out, but I just wanted to share that I found my second one and I'm really excited about that. And there are only 2 books in this series, that's as far as I can tell. I don't even know what the second book is going to be about, but I just know it's only 2. That's the only thing that makes sense, it's just 2. And I may have mentioned that before. So this is my week this week, from here to here, and look at all these blue stars. Blue stars means lots of work done. Pretty good week. I'm going to continue rolling through with this momentum that I've built up. I've got the train going. It was a chug, 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 and now we're at ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Does that even make sense? I'm kind of like, I haven't had coffee yet today, and so I'm a little like, moo. So I'm finishing my notes in the Conflict and Suspense book today. I'm going to be going through those notes today and writing down a list of all of the activities that are suggested throughout my notes, because I wrote all of those things down. And then I'm also going to be making a list of things that I know I need to accomplish before the start of NaNoWriMo. So I have places to look, and anytime I have free time I can look at that list and I can say, yes, I have enough time to, think about, write a list of all the characters and describe them or something like that, all of those little things that I need to do before NaNoWriMo starts. I also want to keep doing the voice journals. I've not been very successful with that. It's kind of an experiment, me doing this. That's not how I normally operate. What I normally do is I sit down and I brainstorm. I'm like, okay, so this character knows this character, and I sit down and brainstorm. And so all of my voice journals have kind of turned into that, which isn't a bad thing, but I would like to know what they sound like on the page. So I need to kind of force myself into that and make sure I'm getting those voices down, making sure I get those characters fleshed out. The big thing that I need to do this week is get my plot started. Like I said, I had to kind of scrap everything that I had, so I need to sit down with my notes and do my last download, basically, from the Conflict and Suspense book, and then just get to it. I need to sit down, find, my areas of conflict, and write those scenes that will pull the reader through. Maybe I'm just like agonizing over this. Maybe I naturally have this down, but I do want to be able to consciously think about some of these things. Does that make any sense? Am I kind of like just rambling? So I have quite a bit of work to do, and I'm gonna get started on it. I'm excited. This week is gonna be full of a lot of cool stuff. I hope that you're freaking out just as much as I am. We are only 18 days away. I keep thinking about that. That's such a crazy number. We're almost halfway through October, and so yikes. How's your prep going? Have you started it yet? Are you like miles ahead of me at this point? Because I've been, I've been doing work, but I don't have a lot to show for it. So time to change that. Time to change that. No time like the present. I will see you next week for another update. I hope your week goes well with your prep. We are getting closer, we are getting closer, we are getting closer. I will see you next time. Bye. I will see you next week for another video update. Yeah, it's video.